All right, go ahead.
Okay, let me just try to figure out if I can share this particular Google Doc. I think there it is. Can everybody see that?
Yep.
Okay, great. So Larry and I decided to work on an app that could be used in the context of an environmental science classroom. And it would allow the students to track their carbon footprint in terms of their transportation habits for a day. Originally, the idea had a larger scope, and we wanted to log it for a week. But for now, we're just focusing on a day with the idea of expanding it later on so that they could do a whole week or 5 days or something like that. So the kind of app it's a logger, calculator, feedback provider. So the students would log their a trip. They would provide, whether they biked, whether they walked, or took a car or an SUV, maybe a bus or a train. And based on that information, they would get a score, how many miles and what mode of transportation they used. And that would then be compared to a national average for teenagers in a graph on the actual screen. So our brainstorm looks something like this. After the user inputs the data, the values are calculated, and then a message gives feedback. So if they're just in line, it'll say, great job, but you could do better. If they're below average, it says, hey, you're doing great. Your carbon footprint is smaller than average. And if they're above average, it gives some suggestions as to, using public transportation or whatnot. So in a nutshell, that's pretty much it. Questions? Comments? How do I turn that off?
Nice idea. So are the formulas you need to use for calculating the amount of carbon readily available?
Yes, there are some web apps that are already doing that, a similar way of calculating your carbon footprint. So we're going to model it after, how they are calculating it as much as we can figure it out. Mm-hmm. And doing some additional research to get the figure as close as possible. How accurate this will be, I think that's not really the point. I think the point is kind of like, creating self-awareness about your habits, but also being able to compare it to your peers and being able to talk about it in the class.
Yep. I think it sounds like a doable project.
Yeah. And so which components were you thinking about using?
Which components we're using?
In App Inventor, yep.
We don't have that listed specifically. Larry, are you on mic? Can you? Oh, good.
Yeah, but we'll be using the ones we've been using, the buttons and the labels and the pictures. We're also going to try this canvas draw, which will help us do a chart. There doesn't seem to be an easy chart creating feature like in Excel, but we're going to try this canvas draw thing.
Probably also need text boxes to input the numbers.
Yes.
Yeah.
By the way, there's a text box property that lets you just input numbers.
Oh, good. So they can write out 5.
Right. They could
Perfect.
only accept numeric values.
Oh, good.
Very nice.
All right. Thank you.
2 thumbs up.
Nice job, Carl.
Going first is sometimes a good idea.
You're welcome.
To compare it against.
Next up, Stephen and Brian.
Hi.
Hey. Hello.
Oh, it didn't change. I don't know why it didn't change.
Okay. Anyways, you can hear us on?
We hear you.
You can hear you.
All right. So our app was based off of, it was a childhood game that I actually saw my little nephew playing, who's about 5, and he really loved it. And it's simple math, basically. And you take a string, and it's a physical device, physical board, and it has a number on one side, and you map the string to the other side with the solution. And you get all these different sticks in the set, so you can do all different addings, all different subtractions, things like that. So we looked at that and thought maybe virtualizing that would be a good idea for our project. So basically modeling our program after this physical game that's already used and already has interest with younger people in using it to help them with their math skills.
Yeah.
We didn't make like a PowerPoint or anything. You got any questions?
So what would the interface look like?
What was that?
What would the user interface look like?
Oh, what does the interface look like?
What would the
All right. So let's try this. I want to share the App Inventor one. All right, did that work?
Yep.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So we kind of made it a little bit whimsical. We gave it a nice little gnome today down here in the corner. We decided to call it Math Vine because, I don't know.
You're drawing a vine, if you will, from one number to the other.
So it just sounded a little bit catchy. And then the actual app, it's hard to see because the idea is that it's going to be mostly proceduralized because it's got to be able to generate random numbers. But basically, you've got 2 columns, and of the 2 columns, you draw a line from one side to the other. Let me see.
If at the top would be a check your answer, and if you got it right, it would say good job, or a list of things that it would go through, so it's not just one stagnant thing. And if it was wrong, it would say try again, do something different.
So you're trying to match, say, the number 4 to 4 objects pictured, or 4 what?
No, so you would take the number 4 and you would do the operation at the top, which was +2. And so you map it to 6 on the other side.
Okay. So okay, I get it.
Let me see if I can get this to.
How do you tell if they've got to the right number, 6?
There's a check answer at the top, and if it says wrong, it would come up as wrong or incorrect or try again, and it wouldn't change. You'd hit the retry key, and it would actually kick it back, and you'd have to redo the entire thing.
Yeah, our thought is that it's going to have to be a comparison at some point where you're taking one number and you're comparing it to the other. And how you do that, we haven't quite determined yet, but that's going to have to be what gets solved.
Okay.
Do you use the coordinates of where the line is? Is that what you do?
We didn't. So
Okay.
you could use the coordinates. That was one idea. We haven't kind of settled on how exactly we want to solve that problem yet. The other is we talked about using a false number value.
So what you might want to use, so they have to draw a line with their finger, like in Paint Pot, right?
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if you can really see it.
Yeah,
I don't know if that helps. So there's this little blue dot that you would click on with your finger and drag it across to the other side
Okay, so
after doing the +2.
you could make the targets sprites.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. That would be how you tell if they hit the right sprite or not.
There's a collide, so if it
Yeah.
collides with the other one and or the correct number, it'll make the collision, and that'll determine if it's true or false.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of the path we were going down.
So one suggestion I have is keep the number of targets small.
Right. I think it's
Yeah.
between 1 to 12.
Yeah, we only
Yeah.
chose to do 4 numbers at a time for the
Yeah, 3 or
Little
4. 3 or 4 should be good.
What'd you say?
Just doing like 3 or 4
Targets.
Targets. That's
Right, we're doing 4.
And so that's pretty much it.
It sounds good to me. Sounds doable. Looks like you're half done.
We're close. We're working on it, so we're just.
We've been working today on it for a little bit. So we kind of worked on setting up the way the UI worked, or the way we wanted it to look first, and then we got to go program it from there.
All right, very nice. Any other questions about that one?
I have one real quick. It's a real simple one. Would you say that you had to do any research about the content in the app? Or do you already know the content?
The content as
It's
in
based-
programming it, or like the math that it's doing?
The math.
I mean, it's
Like
pretty.
simple math.
basic.
So hopefully we can add 2 and 4.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
I did try to do a search to find other apps like this, like math tutoring apps or anything like that. I couldn't find it. I have never actually done this before or seen this done before, so it was kind of a new thing to me. But looking up in the Play Store and online, I didn't really find much of anything. So
Okay.
All
So
right,
yeah, good.
nice job. So next up is Tony and Andy. Is this one on?
All right. Tony, you have everything loaded up?
Tony, were you muted?
Yeah, Tony, Mutant Salon.
There we go.
Okay, can you guys see it?
Yeah, I think so, but it looks like a sky.
So we created a blank white screen, just so you all know.
What, is that what it is? Is that what it's showing?
This is great, guys.
A lot of hard work went into this.
Oh, God. I'm not sure why it's showing that.
So Tony, you might just try stopping the screen share and try starting it again.
Well, right now I can't even tell where the heck I'm at.
Pauline, I'm curious, as long as he's figuring that out, when you asked whether the content was research, is that one of the, requirements or rubric items?
No. I brought it up because we'll talk about this on Friday after we go through the experience. But I think it's a good thing for you to kind of be conscious of. In addition to the programming, which you're also learning that right now, does it make it harder or better or what? As far as, are you also researching content that you're putting into the app, or does it make it easier when you can just focus on the programming instead of having to research content as well? So it's just something to keep in mind, to think of, and we can talk about it afterwards, but there was no requirement about that.
Okay, but you don't want your students to do a ton of research and get lost from the programming.
I think when we talk about it on Friday, you'll see, and maybe from hearing other people's ideas, I'm not sure what everybody's doing yet, I think you'll get a general sense that it will allow the students to focus more on the programming if they already know the content knowledge for the background of the app. I can't.
Yeah, you get on 2. So you're gonna get on the other one. On the turn left up here.
Tony, can you try again? I force stopped you.
All right.
Sorry, I thought I was muted.
There we
All
go.
right.
Sorry. All right, now it's not showing me the rest of the Zoom screen, so I can't find how to mute myself. So if you can mute me, Pauline, I'd appreciate it.
That's Tony?
Yeah.
muted.
All right, so I guess I'll be doing the pitch then.
Yes.
All right, so basically what Tony and I created the concept, he came up with the idea that, especially with a lot of high school students prepping for SATs, we wanted to create an application that would help quiz them on SAT material, both from the math and the English language arts area. So we created 3 screens. The first screen to the left is the main splash screen that would kind of pop up. And I created all these images myself. I swear I didn't steal anything. No, I'm just kidding. I stole everything. So what we have at the bottom of the first screen there, you have the math and you have the ELA, and each one acts as a button. And so when you click on each individual one, it'll take you to a separate screen that will have the specific functionality, one for the math questions and one for the English language arts questions. With the middle phone slide you see is basically going to, it's kind of rough now, it's going to be more polished up, but what you're going to have is the top third of the screen is where the question is going to be generated. The middle third of the screen, we're going to use a list picker that will allow us to pop up multiple choice questions, so then you can answer just like you would be able to on a standard SAT. And then on the bottom third of the screen, you're going to have questions, you'll have statements or alerts that will pop up saying if you got the question right or if you got the question wrong, and then to try again to keep picking the right answer. There'll be buttons on there as well to click on to proceed to the next question, or buttons that you can click to bring you back to the home screen, which is the one on the left, to then click on the other topic that you want to quiz yourself on. Some additional ideas that we were thinking of trying to implement is like a counter function where you can count how many you've gotten correct or you've gotten wrong to sort of kind of make a game out of it, if you will. Also, you know, I don't know about the scope or how difficult it will be, but I think ultimately our research right now has led us into using like a list of lists function for the multiple choice generation. I think probably the best route to go would be a database function where you can kind of just keep pulling these, you know, numbers of questions and answers from database, but we just don't know if we'll be able to get that worked in the short time that we have. But that's pretty much our program in a nutshell, and welcome any feedback.
When you go back and forth between the screens, did you figure out how to actually then close the screen? I thought there was an issue with, you know, using different screens because of.
I don't have the thing set up to close screen, but I've not encountered any issues, you know, with any lag or any crashing. That might become an issue because this is only 3 screens, so it's small. If we had to go larger than that, it might become an issue. I'm not sure, but as of right now, we have not encountered any issues.
So
without a problem.
are we muted?
No, there's somebody else.
So if you're going to be using multiple screens, I want to encourage you to look at the 2 short tutorials on the resources page in the 1-minute lessons for how to properly open and close screens.
Okay.
Because even though you only have 3 screens, if you keep using the app and you're opening screens wrong, you're gonna run into problems.
Okay, so if as of right now, if it's set up as just the screen being there, is it sort of like layers? Does that previous screen, is that sort of underneath somewhere?
So when you're on screen 1, you should open screen 2 and then just close screen to get back to screen 1.
Okay.
That's the basic model.
Gotcha.
If you're on screen 2 and you're going to go to screen 3, you should open screen 3 and then just close screen to go back to screen 2.
Okay.
You should avoid, say, going open screen 2, then open screen 3, then open screen 1. That's where you're going to get in trouble.
Okay, because as of right now, it's set up where there's buttons on screens 2 and 3 that say main menu. And when you click that, it brings you back to screen 1, which would then allow you to go back to screen 2 or 3.
Right, but the question is, how does it bring you back to screen 1? Does it open screen 1? If so, that's the wrong way to do it. It should just close screen 2.
All right, it's probably just opening it because it's not set up to close. So, okay, I can go in there and try to get that worked out.
So there's
Look
the
at
videos that are there, and it's
Yep.
literally just a different block that says closed screen.
Okay.
in the controls drawer.
Okay.
What's on screen 3?
It's basically going to be the middle screen is set up for the math question and answers, and then the screen 3 will be the English language arts question and answers.
Okay, so I would say, given how little time you have on this, you're going to have to keep to a fairly small number of answers, questions and answers.
Okay. Yeah, I was looking into. I mean, it seems like the database route is the way to go, but I don't know if we'll be able to get that in time. So I saw a tutorial about multiple choices and using like lists within lists. And it seems like they're only using 3 or 4 questions. So we'll probably do 3, 4, 5 questions as sort of like a sample to show the functionality of it. But yeah, it's not going to be perfect though.
Yeah, and we're going to see a much better way to do it using the database later.
Awesome.
Not in time for you to do this for your project, though.
Well, maybe we'll surprise you.
Okay.
I think for me, as long as you have several questions mapped to the right answers for just one category, that's enough.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm just curious, Ralph, we haven't done a 2-screen thing yet. Would you, if this was in your course, would you discourage people for it? Doesn't sound that hard, but I'm just curious.
No, doing screens isn't hard if you just do them the right way. So just watch those short tutorials. They take you about 3 minutes.
So in the create, if you're looking at the assignment for create 1, in the very first paragraph or second paragraph, it says, you may wish to use these 1-minute app inventor resources. So it's linked there directly in the project, encouraging the students to go and look at those, as well as we showed you before that they're on the resources page.
Okay.
So it sounds like a nice project. If you run into time issues, I'd say you could just do math or just do English.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Yeah. Just to try to keep it doable in one day. Very nice.
All right. Thank you much.
Next up is Noah and Andrew.
And Kristen.
And Kristen, okay.
Did that not get changed?
I don't see it.
Kristen by herself, so. At the bottom of the question mark.
Ralph, I just have one other question on the last one. It also didn't have drawing, which, from our instructions, obviously, I don't know, does it matter if it doesn't have the drawing issue?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
You're being more ambitious than you have to be, so that's okay.
All right. Is Kristen there? Can I be heard?
Yep, we hear you.
Okay, is Noah out there?
I see lots of chat. Noah's in the chat.
Okay, I'm just going to begin then.
Yep.
So, due to how my